bracketology, and more up next on Sports Bar. So we've got a lot to talk about today with our two guests, Adrian Hernandez and Ashton Schlachter. Well, I guess not guests, panelists. Sorry about that. But anyways, so a lot has been happening, mostly regarding NCAA men's basketball. A lot of people have made it to the tournament. Even more have not made it. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about the ACC tournament first. UNC won it for the second time, knocking off Virginia. Last time was in the semifinals. This time was in the finals itself. What do you say was the biggest factor in UNC beating them?
Marcus Page. Like I don't know if there's any way that you could say any. I mean, there's a lot of other like small factors, but I mean, he is who he is, and he's showing that he's really going to make a run at this season. And there's not much. I mean, you can say as many things as you want. He's incredible. He's a great shooter. He's a great player all around. He's definitely kind of the all-around athlete that they need, and he knows how to get it done. And he's proved time and time again that he's going to continue to get it done, which, I mean, that's why that they were ranked as #1. So it's not surprising.
If I were to look at anything, it'd be as a team, it'd be the rebounding. The rebounding is just, it really kills other teams, especially Virginia. Virginia is such a defense-driven team, and they were slow. They had a slow game, a very low-scoring game, too. I think it was it was in the 50s. And UNC's rebounding really, Virginia could not handle it at all. And I think that's what really got them the win.
Well, see, my personal opinion on the whole thing was sort of what you were saying. Virginia's a very defensive team. UNC is usually the offensive juggernaut that runs in there. It was a low-scoring game because UNC, instead of like focusing on their offense as they normally do, they played ridiculous defense. They focused on that.
Totally agree.
They realized that their offense is good, but it doesn't always get the job done. It's been proven throughout the season in a few games. So I believe that their defense is something they were focusing on coming into the tournament because it's been shining through that solidified defense is what's going to get them through most of the NCAA tournament too.
No, that's definitely true. It was really nice to see some more depth from them as opposed to just, let's run out on the court and lob as many balls at the basket as we can and hope that more go in than the other team because sometimes it feels a little messier, I guess. It doesn't feel quite as planned out, and you could definitely see that they've been working on it. And I know that they've come out several times. I mean, every coach and player have said, that's what we're focusing on. So it was really nice to see that wasn't just talk.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of coaches will always throw out we really need to work on the defense and then go in and have drills dedicated to like the three-point layups, all that. It's like, no, I really feel as though, especially Justin Jackson with like the pick 6 early in the tournament, they're really focusing on reading the ball, reading the players, doing all that, and I think it'll help them out. Was there anything else that you saw? Because a lot of these teams are in the tournament. Was there anything that you saw throughout the ACC tournament that might be a problem or might help a team out in this?
I mean, we definitely got to see some more of Duke, and because I felt like the UNC game, a lot of them struggling towards the end. I mean, we talked a little bit before the show about kind of the stamina of the whole thing. You have to make sure that you're playing not just the first bit of the game, you have to, go all the way to the end. So it was nice to see them not redeem themselves, but, at least work towards that a little bit. It wasn't, you could tell that they were more prepared from an energy standpoint, which was nice. You could see that they had kind of bounced back from the loss, so.
I think when you're comparing Duke, you have to really take into account that they don't have as much experience that they used to have. And that a lot of their talent came from their last season, and they won the tournament last season.
Well, they have Kentucky syndrome now. They just get these all-stars for their freshman year and then send them off. I mean, Duke still has Grayson Allen, who's carrying the team pretty well aside from his trips and fouls and all of those things.
Questionable activity.
But going on with Duke, we can actually go to the SportsBar score of the week, which is a new thing that we're trying to do here. And this week we chose the Duke Notre Dame score, 79-84. It's not big, because of the 5-point difference. The reason this score is important, in my opinion, is the fact that Duke, sort of like when we were talking about the Panthers earlier in this season, when you have a lead, you cannot give up that lead. You can't get lazy towards the end of the half. You can't just stop playing. And I feel like Duke did that. They were 1 for 12 on field goals towards the end. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you use, field goals.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's weird to me that they call field goals.
Football, yeah.
I still miss hockey or football. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
but they were 1 for 12, and they let Notre Dame get a 16-point comeback to tie the game, go into overtime, and let them inevitably win the game. So I feel as though, like we were saying, the defense, the offense, all that, not giving up in the second half, all of that sort of shows right there. And that's something that Duke, throughout this tournament, I feel like they're going to focus on that because Coach K was probably livid after that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you see for Duke going through the rest of it after that loss to Notre Dame?
I'd say Duke, I mean, like I said before, it's a lack of depth, and that's what they're going to have to address. Mm-hmm. If you look at UNC, they have so much depth and experience too. Mm-hmm. They have at least juniors that have been to the NCAA tournament every single year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with Duke, they don't have as much experience, but they have Coach K. So if you have Coach K, it's a pretty good bet that you're going to make it to at least past the first round.
You know, unless you're playing like Lehigh
or Mercer. Yeah, that's great. But it's got to be. It's going to be hard for Duke. I think it's going to be hard for them to actually be a tournament team like they are usually coming around to this year in March.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just gotta jump in.
Sorry.
I know. I've collected my thoughts. I now know what sport we're talking about, so we're good. We're ready. Duke-wise, I like going to what I believe the bracket's going to turn out to be. I have them going all the way to the Elite Eight. I think that they had kind of the shock in their system that they needed with the loss to Notre Dame. I think that was kind of almost like just the gas or something. They realized what they needed to do. They realized where their problems
lost to the Falcons.
Yeah.
Gave them that little kick of,
yeah.
all right, guys,
I don't think it's going to carry them all the way into the Final Four or to the finals, but I think that it's going to kind of, it was kind of a reality check for all of them because I think they came off a real high when they beat UNC, and I think they rode that for a good bit of the season. And then I think that with the loss, and that I think they needed something to kind of knock them down and say, okay, you're good, but you still need to act like, you have something to try for. Because I think for a while there was a little bit of cockiness or, a little bit of, well, we're Duke, so we're just going to be great and we're going to, we don't have to work as hard. Yeah. So I think that they needed that shock to their system.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I don't have anything else now.
Okay. All right, so we do have our brackets in front of us. Who are y'all taking to the final?
I have Oklahoma and UNC. And that's really biased, super biased bracket, really generic, a 1 versus a 2. But I like, from Oklahoma's standpoint, I like Buddy Hield. He's definitely an overlooked prospect. He's a senior too, which is, I don't think any seniors really get the spotlight anymore in the NCAA because
they're gone.
They're gone, exactly.
They're not there.
They're not there. But you see the spotlight on Ben Simmons from LSU, and he's not even going to be at the NCAA tournament. So I feel like this is a great opportunity for a lot of teams, for their show-out players, to be good for the draft and get ready and get a good resume whenever they're playing throughout March. And UNC, I think I think they've come into their own by winning the ACC tournament. It's been a while since UNC has won, and I think I've put UNC as my national championship for like maybe 3 or 4 years straight. But
if you keep putting it, you'll get right. Yeah.
Right. Eventually, it's got to happen soon. But I like that matchup. I like Oklahoma and UNC, and I like their paths to the final. So what do you think, Ash?
With Oklahoma, I agree. I have them in the Final Four, but I didn't take them to the finals. I do agree that the Buddy Hield thing, and I mean, he is kind of, I've seen the comparison made a lot. He is kind of the Steph Curry of the league. They really rely on the outside shooting. They rely on the threes and everything, which, I mean, as we're seeing in the NBA, that works. I mean, clearly someone has made it work.
For some people.
For some people. So it's not it's not a sometimes it's a tactic that's looked down upon a lot. It's kind of, almost like a desperate, we're just going to chuck it from, halfway across the court because we're not good in the paint and that kind of thing. So it's been a negative in a lot of ways, but I think it's really good and it'll get them far, but I don't think it's going to take them over Kansas because Kansas for me is just, Perry Ellis, first of all, he's phenomenal. He's great in every way, but it's just kind of, they won 14 straight games leading up to the tournament, first of all, which is a huge, huge run, and then also did extremely well in the tournament, as was, shown by the fact that they were seeded number 1, which I hate picking a number 1 as going to the finals.
Yeah, there's always a number 1 in the finals.
Yeah, but I feel like Kansas is kind of the standout in their region, and they play in the hardest, or, one of the hardest, oh my gosh, no. Conferences. My words are everywhere today, guys.
Spring break, it does it.
It does. It messes with your brain. But yeah, so I think that just on top of the fact that they're playing in one of the most difficult conferences and they're playing so head and shoulders above everyone else, I think it'll be a good game, but I think they're going to come out on top. And I also have UNC, which means that I'm a 1 versus a 1.
We're hopeful.
And I hate how boring of a bracket that is, but we'll take it.
Honestly, I have to agree with you. There are going to be some upsets along the way, but I don't think Kansas or UNC are.
I don't think this is the year that we're going to see, a number 8 or a 9 to make their way out of the finals. Maybe Elite 8.
Florida Gulf Coast might come back again, though. You never know.
UNC.
Yeah, you keep hoping on that one.
UNC is probably going to play Kentucky here in the Sweet 16, so there's going to be some awesome matchups on the way. But
but the only team that I think could really upset UNC is actually in the first round when they're playing Providence. Providence, and I've got all sorts of things written down because I had some time to do a little research. Providence, Chris Dunn alone is an NBA level point guard. He is right there. You've got somebody, which is a good matchup against Marcus Page, and I think that would put for a really interesting game overall. I think that's going to make, from a television standpoint, it's going to be good to watch. But they also just overall they've played really, really well throughout the season, and they've had some tough losses, and so I don't think that their scores necessarily show exactly how well that they've played, but I think that just kind of the level of talent is there that they could give UNC a run for their money if they catch them on, an off night or a slow night or anything like that. Like if they come out and really kind of shut them down early, there's a possibility there. I still think that UNC is overall better, but I think that could be one of the games where it's kind of like, I think that could be one of the games where it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? So
yeah, you have to play to your full potential the whole way. There is no easy match in this. You can look at the matchups and be like, Villanova versus Asheville. All right, that might be an easy matchup, but
you never know. I got Asheville in my heart. I want to see someone from up in this area. So
no, I'm waiting for UNCW to beat Duke. So
that would be a good game.
That'd be great.
But nice. Speaking of upsets and all that, one team actually made it into the tournament for the first time in school history by upsetting New Mexico State. That was USC Bakersfield, and that is our play of the week. So if we could just see that real fast.
Maybe, no.
There it is.
This was such a good game overall.
And he crosses him up right here. Whoop.
And that was actually player of the year in the conference that he shot over right there. That
oh my gosh, the excitement that they just have is ridiculous. Like I can't even imagine the feeling in that gym.
That's a Steph Curry 3 if I can ever see one. Mm-hmm. Gosh, picked up his dribble and everything.
No, it's beautiful. That's really, really great.
Who are they playing in the first? They'll be playing
USC Bakersfield. I actually have not. Cal State Bakersfield is playing Oklahoma.
Okay, so chances are they will not get any further, but at least they made it. And you never know. You never know.
Actually, no, don't bust my bracket because that's when I stop watching the NCAA tournament.
When you bust so you stop after the first day?
Oh my gosh! Every year you put your money in a pool and you just stop after a while because your bracket's totally messed up. And
if I have any of the Elite 8 right, I'm usually happy. That's if I have any one of them. Like at that point, I'm kind of like. Last year, I even did a bracket based off of if you pitted the mascots up against each other. Like if you took the Blue Devil versus a Ram, which one would win.
A Ram all day.
And that
I
kind
don't know.
of
Devil's
Well,
got like
except for, like, during
Satan.
the
that
regular season, the Devils
bracket
won,
bracket
so.
was closer than the bracket I did based off of the teams.
Really?
Yes. So that goes to show how
That's
good I
brackets
am.
for you. Bracketology.
It's
Bracketology.
it's
Great word.
not even really a science in my opinion, because like the best bracketologists are, you know, maybe 40%, 50% right.
Yeah.
So it's a very hard thing. It's hard to know who's going to be hot when,
Yeah.
because that's really what a tournament's about. It's, are you on all the time, or are you on at the right times?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then bye.
Yeah, then good luck next
Bye,
year.
Felicia.
Now, before we move on, our brackets will be posted to our Facebook page at facebook.com/apptvsportsbar. If you have any interest in seeing our brackets, we'll try and post them before Thursday's start to the tournament. So go ahead and check that out.
If you want to give
you're
us a hard
interested.
time about who
Yeah,
we're
go,
picking.
feel free to comment. Let Ashton know that, you know, Kansas isn't going to make it all the way over UNC. Or
Yeah.
And then post yours.
Yeah. If you want to prove us wrong, post yours, and we'll see.
And we will keep updates on the Facebook page as well. So after that, let's go ahead and move on to the NBA. We've been on NCAA for a little bit. So NBA, Steph Curry and the Warriors again. We're not going to stay on them too much, but they are still undefeated at home. They're keeping the streak up.
And they're under where the Bulls were at this point in the season. They
but they have a 48%
ahead of them, I guess.
chance of breaking the record. But I mean, the way that they're looking, they're gonna get it.
Well, and they flip-flop every week. If they win, it's all of a sudden there's 70% chance, and if they lose, it's like, it's a 25% chance now. So it's hard to know on that.
So looking ahead, who do you see might give the Warriors the biggest run for their money to try and like break this streak if they went into Golden State at home? Like who do you see?
I see. You got to look at their schedule ahead, and they have about 3 or 4 more matchups with the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
So the Spurs are obviously going to be up there. That's second.
Yeah.
So after that, you got to look at maybe Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers to maybe upset them. So they're 59-6, and the Bulls were 72-10, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
At this time in the season, the Bulls had 7 losses, from what I'm fairly certain. So the dates line up a little bit weird, but it at least as of a couple of days ago. So.
Yeah.
But I think Steph Curry and the Warriors could definitely do it. The Grizzlies maybe could have a good matchup against them, but otherwise it's really bleak for everybody else. And I think they could make history. I wonder if the Bulls were getting this much media coverage too. Whenever back in the day.
But you have to think about what the level of media coverage was at that point.
For sure.
I mean, not that there wasn't, but I mean, it wasn't quite so, hyper focused. But yeah, I definitely agree though. I mean, honestly, I think that the Spurs are kind of the only team that I really see as being, I mean, because they are the number 2, but then again, when they played a couple games ago, it didn't go well for them. So it's hard to know. But I mean, the Spurs are a good team, and they definitely know. I mean, that's the sad thing. I realized the other day, the Spurs still technically have a chance, if they win out, of also breaking the record.
Yeah.
But no one cares about that. No one is mentioning that.
They're on the path too.
Yeah. Well, and the sad thing is, even if they did break the record, but if the Warriors, they beat it or whatever, or get close, they're still going to talk about the Warriors and not the Spurs. No one cares as much, but I think that they definitely have the best chance.
I feel like a lot of that comes down to the energy, because the Spurs, I mean, they've been a good team, but they have, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, all them, like they're kind of old, they lackadaisical, move around on the court slow. When they win, it's not a huge deal. They're so trained to
it's almost so used to it.
Yeah. They've always had a good team. They've in the past,
we're used to it. We're used to seeing them win.
And they've been coached to where if you win, don't flaunt it. You play as a team, you win as a team, you move on, you have a game coming up. But the Warriors, after Steph drains a 3 and doesn't even look at it, it's the media wants to show that. They want to show this energy on the court.
Yeah,
And I
you
feel
see the excitement in their faces and stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost like you kind of see the Spurs.
you will never
it's
see
like,
excitement from Tim Duncan.
yeah, Tim Duncan might shoot a little
Tim Duncan
smile at you during the interview, but
Keeps it straight.
Yeah. But I mean, no, I feel like energy has a lot to do with media coverage.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, a lot of media coverage, a lot of energy. You know, a lot of quarterbacks.
Positive or negative, you're going to get something.
I mean, you could compare it to Panthers Cardinals from this past season. Cardinals had a really great season. Not a lot of media coverage.
No, not at all.
Because, I mean, Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, they're older. They
It's
know
kind of season pro. Yeah.
They know to just, you know, stay calm, cool, and collected and move on.
Yeah,
You have
much
another
more
game.
kind of, you know, I have a game in, you know, 6 days, 7 days, so I'm going to focus on that. And in this league, you know, I've got a game in 2 days, so it's kind of, you know, moving on to the next one and not savoring the moment, kind of.
So the NBA is going to have a tournament of their own coming up soon too.
Sure.
I honestly feel as though the Warriors are going to make it all the way, and I feel like on the other end, we're probably going to see a rematch with the Cavs. LeBron and the Cavs just had their final matchup against Kobe and the Lakers, and LeBron came out winning that one. So I feel as though, you know, they're not the same team that they were last year. Kyrie's still doing pretty well, but actually, Kemba Walker surpassed him in fantasy numbers. So. You know, it's hard to see like these all-stars all on the same team that are sort of just it's an iffy team. They still come out on top a lot of the times, but it's sort of like what we were saying from the bracket. It's you never know when they might win or lose. Whereas Steph Curry and the Warriors, they go into a game, you're shocked when they lose.
Yeah.
Like you expect them to. So I mean, who do y'all see making a run for the money for the title for NBA?
For whenever you think of the NBA tournament or the NBA tournament or just the finals and the playoffs, you have to think of the series.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta think of who can win 4 games, just 4 games in a matchup, the quickest, and that'll be it. And Steph Curry and the Warriors just look unstoppable.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you're gonna even catch like 2 games.
Yeah, they've proven time and time again that they can blow by 4 in a heartbeat.
Exactly, and for the Cavs, they have such a different dynamic, or maybe it's just that the Warriors' dynamic is so good that whenever you see the Cavs play or anybody in the East play, you're doubting it. You're just like, could they really like match up with the Warriors like this? And the short answer is, I don't think so. It's not. It doesn't look very promising for the East.
Yeah, I mean, it looks overall like it's going to be kind of a hard-fought loss against the Warriors, no matter who ends up there. It's going to be a lot. I think the series are going to be a lot longer for the East. I think that in general, it's going to be we're not going to see 4 games. We're going to see 5 games or 6 games or 7 games. Like you're going to see a lot more. Whereas I see just overall the Warriors, because I just really don't see anyone else taking that from them, winning 4 and moving on and that kind of thing. Like I don't see it as being drawn out on that end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I was gonna say if the NBA played how the NCAA played, where one and done you're out, the Warriors might have a chance to not make it. But they're not going to let you win 4 on them. No. If they play you more than once, like they're not going to do that.
They're not going to let you win 2 on them.
Yeah, whereas the Cavs, I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance you can beat them. Now, home team-wise, how far do you see the Hornets possibly making it? Because like I was saying, Kemba Walker is doing pretty well, and a lot of the other players are. I think they have a strong team, but I still don't know if they're at the level that they should be to make it to the finals.
I see them making it through, you know, maybe versus one team, might getting through kind of the first round, but I don't see a lot further. They're still not necessarily young, but they're still, you know, green.
Yeah.
I guess overall, it's not necessarily that they have a lot of really young players, but I feel like they definitely don't have the experience at this level that they really need to really succeed.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're quite ready. I think they're ready to play in it, but not to succeed overall. So.
I think we have to appreciate that the Hornets can make the playoffs at least every year for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They've been making the playoffs, and that's good for our fan base. But I think that you're right. They're just too green, and they're going to have to match up against a Cleveland. Probably not Cleveland, actually. They're going to be in the 7th or the 8th seed. So maybe the Trailblazers, just a top East team, to go 4 games straight against them. I just think they last.
I could see 1 or 2 games definitely. Like I could definitely see them maybe giving a run for their money, drawing it out. But I don't see them coming out on top overall. So
Consistency is what they lack, and I think that's what
and that's been prevalent all season, really.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really kind of shown the fact that it's like there's one really good game, but they don't capitalize on it, or even there's one really bad game and they don't really capitalize it. It's a toss-up every week as to what you're going to get. So
How many years do you think it'll take for them to make it to the tournament or to the final?
From this point, I guess if they grow kind of at the rate they've been going, building a little bit each year, getting a few good draft picks each year, whatnot, I still think that it's a couple years out. I mean, I still think that we're 3, maybe 4 years out from really seeing a true run at it, like a true, we could see the Hornets go all the way or really close kind of a run. So it's possible, but I don't see it being in the near future.
And just real fast before we close out, Bryce Harper made the comment that baseball is a tired sport, saying that there's no energy. Sort of what we were saying about Carson Palmer, the Cardinals, the Spurs. I mean, people still cheer for them and stuff, but they don't get the attention, which I feel like baseball doesn't get the attention either because of it being a tired sport. What are your thoughts on that real fast before we close out?
As a sport in general, I mean, you take a look at any baseball stadium for any game, no matter who's playing, except for maybe the World Series, there's empty seats. There's people who leave halfway through. There's people who come in late. You're not seeing that at an NBA game as much. You're not seeing that at an NFL game. Overall, I think that the fan base is almost dying out. I mean, you're getting in a lot of new baseball fans. There's tons of kids our age who are really into baseball, but I think that it's more, my parents, my grandparents who are a lot more gung-ho about it. I mean, my grandfather was a huge, huge Cardinals fan, but I mean, he passed away, and I think that that's kind of what's happening is you're not getting in as many as you're losing kind of overall. So.
Yeah. All right, well, that was actually a great comment. I feel
Thanks, don't be so surprised.
No, I'm sorry. It's just we do have to wrap it up.
Yeah, I know.
So real fast, we are holding auditions for future panelists of the show. If you would like to audition, you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior. Sorry, seniors, but if you're leaving, you can't really be here next year.
Any major.
Any major can audition, not just broadcast people. But if you're interested, come on out to Portofino's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We'll be there. And
bring your brackets.
Bring your brackets if you want to. But we hope to see you then. And until next time, I'm Ron Palmer.